What are you two doing in here? At that moment, it felt like the tension in the room had gotten 10 times thicker, and your close proximity to Jungkook probably wasn't helping the situation. Never would you have thought you would ever be this close to someone so terribly, yet here you was nearly on his lap. You move your focus to Jungwoo, who had been standing next to the door frame, his eyebrows furrowed as he looked between Jungkook and yours awkward position. It's silent after Jungwoo asked the question. You was hoping Jungkook would answer, but he didn't seem like he will say anything with the way his eyes were burning into the side of your head. Nothing, I just fell, you said, cutting through the silence as you frantically get off Jungkook's lap. You feel Jungkook's dark gaze on you as you move back to your seat, trying your best to calm down your nerves and get rid of the red tint plastered all over your cheeks. It's almost 1 in the morning. Why are you in here with him anyways? Jungwoo continued to question as he walks further into the library. This time you notice the slight eye roll from Jungkook. Jungkook, who had been leaning back in his chair now, you glance at Jungkook, hoping he will say something, anything to make this situation less awkward than it already was. Your gaze moves back to Jungwoo when you give up on Jungkook, trying to think of a way to clear things up. Well, we get assigned a project together. We are just working on it. That's all. You said, biting your lip nervously at your answer. You wonder why Jungwoo cared so much. Maybe he wanted to use the library and you were taking his space. Your teacher assigned you with the stupidest one in class. Jungwoo mutters under his breath, his jaw clenched. You swallow the lump in your throat at the growing tension in the room, wanting to just run away. Don't be jealous. I'm not interested in your scraps. Jungkook scoffed, suddenly his cold eyes burning into Jungwoo, whose face all of a sudden turned flustered. Scraps. What was that supposed to mean? Jungwoo looked at you nervously before glaring at Jungkook. I wasn't talking to you. He scolded and you looked down as you start playing with your fingers nervously. They wouldn't fight or anything, would they? Why? Jungwoo called for you all of a sudden and you look up into his dark brown eyes that seemed slightly darker today, almost missing how his face looked, his voice. Yes, you mutter, glancing over at Jungkook, who had been burning daggers into your skull as if he was committing a crime for talking to Jungwoo. They really did hate each other, which only made you more curious as to what could have happened between them. Let me know if he do anything. Jungkook grumbled, his hands in his pockets. I will, you hesitantly respond, noticing the slight smile from on Jungkook's face. What would Jungkook do to you? Would he touch you without your permission like Evan and the man from the club? Would he try killing you? Wouldn't it be too late by the time you told Jungkook anyways? Great, he was overthinking again. Jungwoo nodded his head at your response before turning around and hesitantly leaving the library, leaving an awkward, silence between you and Jungkook. You move your gaze towards him only to see he was already looking at you with a cold look. There was something else swirling in his dark eyes, anger, confusion, annoyance. It all seemed pretty normal for Jungkook, but this time it felt different. Please don't kill me. You whispered, your eyes moving down to the black blade he still held, spinning around tauntingly between his large fingers. Jungkook raised his eyebrow, his eyes following yours still locked in on the blade. A slight smirk appears on his face, leaving just as fast as it came. A short gasp escaped your mouth when his leg suddenly pushes your chair closer to him. The arm not holding the blade moving behind your chair as you look up at Jungkook terrified at the position he locked you in. He looked angry. Your breath is heavy as you watch. You watch him move the sharp blade close to your neck, his face so close to your own you could feel him minty breath fan against your cheek. The only sound other than your pounding heart and heavy breaths were the fireplace cracking every now and then as it lit up the library. The light of the fire gleamed against Jungkook's face, lighting up his already dark eyes. You shut your eyes in fear, hoping he will just leave you alone and you could finish the project. It's not until the cold metal of his blade moves against your neck ever so slightly that goosebumps rose on every inch of your body, and your heart rate only grows faster. It barely scratches the surface of your skin, but you feel him move it in a half moon pattern before moving to the next part of your neck and doing some sort of the other pattern. What are you doing? You barely breathed out as he continued to move the blade against your skin. It didn't hurt you. It didn't hurt you, only tickled as it barely grazed your sensitive skin. Jungwoo likes you, is all he said, and you furrow your brows together as you peek your eyes open this time, watching him as he stares at your neck, the blade still moving in whatever pattern it was he was doing. Was this a joke? Jungwoo could never like you, and why would he say this at this moment? One wrong move and your neck would be sliced open. What are you talking about? Your breath out going tense when his movement with the blade stops and he flickers his eyes back to your eyes. Don't be stupid. It's obvious. He grits out, watching you with annoyance burning in his eyes. Why was he even talking about this? Please, just leave me alone. You whisper out, your eyes watering at the thought of. Thought of the blade being so close to your neck. He could kill you at any second. His jaw clenched as he looked into your watery eyes, the blade now gone from your neck. You breathe out in relief before looking up to see Jungkook out of his chair and walking out of the library. You didn't even get to finish the project now. You have to ask him again tomorrow, the last day before the project is due. You sit there in silence for who knows how long, your hand on your neck. On your neck, tracing where Jungkook had moved his blade against, and your brain trying to figure out why he was acting so weird. Why would Jungkook even think Jungwoo likes you? The thought of alone confused you, yet it didn't make you mad either, which is what made you even more twisted up. Did you want Jungwoo to like you? Young, you have been in there all week. What happened? You never talk to me anymore. Jungwoo frowned, his head leaned against the door of his twin brother's room. He kept it locked. He never used to keep it locked. They always used to play together, but now he was all boring and mad. Every time he tried talking to him, Jungwoo don't know what he did wrong, but he couldn't help blaming himself. He heard his young crying late at night and he would stay right there by the door, asking him what's wrong. Jungwoo got his parents to barge into the room one night to check in on him. After that, Jungkook only got more mad at Jungwoo, and he was taken to the lady who would have conversation with him about who knows what. Jungwoo think it made him feel better. Well, at least that's what he thought, seeming he never cried again. Jungwoo not sure if that was any better because every time he saw him at the dinner table or at school, he looked different. Not a good different. At first, Jungwoo thought it was the Spider-Man figurine he stole from him a couple of months ago, so Jungwoo gave it back. All he did was look at it and ignore him when he attempted to return it. Maybe he didn't want to be his brother anymore. That hurts Jungwoo. They were best buddies. No one could get between Jungkook and Jungwoo. But he was so different now. Jungwoo didn't like it. His mom told him he was going through something and they were trying. They were trying to figure out why he was acting so strange. A couple years went by, Jungkook was the same. His mom told Jungwoo he finally told the therapist why he was acting so strange. Turned out it was all because of some bully who had been picking on him. Jungkook wouldn't tell them who was the bully. He didn't talk much about it. Jungwoo thinks his parents got on that he might have been lying about the whole bullying scandal because even after changing schools and monitoring the kids around Jungkook, he had still been acting strange. The doctor told his parents he had a mentally sickness sort of thing, or he think that's what they call it. Jungkook was not sure, but it didn't seem so healthy. At 13, when he just started on his junior football team, Jungkook was the same way. He wouldn't talk to Jungwoo or his parents. Jungkook shut them out like they were nothing. Jungwoo think that's when Jungwoo started getting angry. If his problem were so much of a big deal, why couldn't he just tell Jungwoo or his parents? Why did he want to be so distant from his only family? They focused on their own lives from there on throughout high school. Jungwoo got obsessed with football and Jungkook got obsessed with drugs, alcohol and illegal street racing. He doesn't know Jungwoo was aware of the street racing, but he is not stupid. At that point in Jungwoo's life, he knew one thing: if he was deciding to act like the distance himself from his family and treat his brother like nothing. Jungwoo do the same. It's not like Jungwoo never tried. Of course he did. And what did Jungwoo get in return? Nothing. No words, no I'm okay, no smile. Jungwoo don't care anymore about his young or his choices. Ryan is such a sweet girl. I'm glad she's work here. It's refreshing having someone so kind in the house. His mom smiled as she cuts the food on her plate. Jungwoo still felt bad about earlier today. He should have been paying more attention when Leah missed with you. Where's Dad? He asked as he looked around the table. He was used to Jungkook never coming to dinner, but his dad was usually always there unless he had a business trip. He never told them what he actually works. All they know is that it's some business. It obviously worked out for him though. He's trying to find Jungkook to talk to him. She sighed and his jaw tensed at the words. Oh, is all he replied with and continued eating. Jungwoo couldn't look into his mom's eyes when she talked about Jungkook. They always looked so sad. Dinner dragged on terribly long, and as soon as he finished the conversation with his mom about how football was going, he made up some excuses that he was going to hang out with friends. That's the last thing he wanted to do right now, considering they always invite Brittany and Laura, the two most annoying bitches at university. They never missed a moment to try and get his attention. Jungwoo tried being nice, but at one point he just started to ignore them. He was obviously not interested. His thoughts moved to you as you walk outside, a warm feeling settling in him at the thought of you. He hadn't seen you since the pool incident, still mad at himself for being so unaware of what was going on. Seeing you get hurt was different. You are a gentle girl. It seems like you would never even hurt a fly. Hell, you don't even know how to fight for yourself. Jungwoo wondered if you were always pushed around like that in your life. I mean, you're always quite scared to talk to people and look nervous every time he sees you at university. Jungwoo starts his car pulling out of the driveway as he moved onto the dark roads and his destination. Jungwoo didn't get off work until midnight, so he had plenty of time. Maybe it was your smile or your eyes or how soft spoken you were, like one wrong move would completely shatter you, or how kind you were to everyone. Jungwoo knew he felt something for you. He knew that being near you made him nervous. Funny. You could make the quarterback of a football team flush like a teenage girl without even trying. A small laugh leaves his mouth when he remembers you hugging him after his game. After the hug, you look like a deer lost in headlight. The sign of the store comes into view and he pulls into the parking lot looking up at the large sign that reads Best Buy in yellow. Give me the pros, he mutters when the salesman starts talking too much. Oh, yes, right up, sir, he said, his face growing flustered as he grabbed the AirPods and walks over to the checkout. A small smile reached hide his face as he got back in the car, thinking of how much you loved them. When you both were sharing his AirPods, you looked at it like it was some alien invention. So he decided to get you your own pair as an apology gift from earlier. Jungwoo moved the AirPods into his pocket as he got back home, only now noticing how late it had already gotten from all the traffic. You were probably asleep now, since it was past midnight, so he decides on giving them to you tomorrow. Jungwoo sighs as he walks down the hallway, squinting his eyes at the voices and light coming from the library. Usually he just ignores any sound, but when he hears your voice, he can't help but peek inside. He feels his brow furrowing at the sight sight of you sat on top of Jungkook's lap. He couldn't help but get jealous at the way you had been looking at him in their close proximity, and the way Jungkook was looking at you was only pissing Jungwoo off more. Jungkook wasn't the type to have a crush, he only slept around. Why the hell was she on top of him? He thought, since when was Jungkook ever interested in you? What are you two doing in here? He suddenly asked, not really thinking about it before the words left his mouth. He was too angry to think. Your eyes widened and it's silent for a moment. Nothing, I just fell. You stumbled out as you get off his lap. Jungwoo glanced at Jungkook, who had been looking at you the entire time before walking further into the library. His fist clenched. It's almost 1 in the morning. Why are you in here with him anyways? He asked, glaring at Jungkook, who rolled his eyes at him. Well, we got assigned a project together. We are just working on it, that's all. You said, and Jungkook moves his gaze down to your lip when you start nervously biting at it. How did he not know they had a class together? No wonder, they seem so much closer than before. Your teacher assigned you the stupidest one in class, Jungwoo muttered, clenching his jaw in frustration. Jungkook was looking at Jungwoo as if this was some sort of game, as if it was funny to him. Don't be jealous, I'm not interested in your scraps. He scoffed. I wasn't talking to you, he squalled, glaring at Jungkook for the choice of words he used. Jungkook broke up with Daisy a couple of months ago. She was in a different university now and Jungkook had no feelings left for her. You were different. YN, he said, ignoring Jungkook at this point. Yes, you muttered with your soft voice. Let me know if we do anything. Jungwoo grumbled, putting his hands in his pockets. I will, you said, and he slightly smiled at you before nodding his head and hesitantly leaving the library. Jungwoo groaned in frustration as he stand outside the door, now running a hand through his hair. Sighing, he shook his head from his thoughts and walked away, trying not to get too bothered. Jealousy was not good. He needed to stop before it got any worse. Jungkook and you just didn't mix well. Jungkook is only going to hurt her. He thought. He didn't trust Jungkook around you at all. Jungkook looked at the new box of AirPods in his hands as he walked back, hoping he will get to see you smiling when you see them.